When people say, oh, that's going to be a 7-game series, they're not just saying that because of the shooting variance or just performance and production variance of the stars or maybe the co-stars or things like that. It really has to do with 3 main things: adjustments, X factors, and greatness. And what I want to do is highlight each one of those on Denver's side specifically, briefly explain why I think that they were the keys to success in Game 4. Obviously, more competitive, but it was also the final form, air quote, if you will, of some of the new strategies that Denver would be employing that Minnesota very, very much has to be thinking about as they look to Game 5. So number 1 are adjustments. And I talked about before the Rudy Gobert funneling scheme that really just they are able to do in order to thwart Jokic's pressure on the rim, which is stick Gobert on Aaron Gordon in the dunker spot, allow him to freely roam off so that when Jokic gets too close to the rim, he can not only disrupt the scoring pressure that Jokic presents at the rim, but also essentially swallow up any ability to get it to Aaron Gordon as that release valve. So the counters that they use to that are, number 1, on and off, they would have Aaron Gordon just bring up the ball, which obviously is tough for Gobert because Minnesota doesn't want him near the 3-point line ever. And so that just ultimately becomes a, can Aaron Gordon stay on the perimeter and make open threes? Turns out he can. Then that just translates into the other main counter, which is basically trusting in Aaron Gordon to knock down open threes. Went without saying that the Wolves were more than willing to let Gordon try and fail or succeed. Only took 2 and made both, of course, but first one came less than 3 minutes into the first quarter to set that tone, which I think was also very important for his overall rhythm and effectiveness in this game. That was just the shell around an overall incredible shooting performance from AG specifically that came from a host of different places all over the court, essentially channeling his inner wing Aaron Gordon days from Orlando, where he was more of a wing, had a lot of physically dominant tools and advantages at his disposal. But since coming to Denver, it's been a lot more of playing kind of that big, basically, not really a wing anymore, not really hanging out on the perimeter as much. That I truly do think has to be due to, again, setting the tone early, but keeping that pressure in check and making it a little bit harder on Gobert to just roam off and have that secondary line of defense there for Jokic. Secondly are X factors. All right, so number 1 is bench impact. Goes without saying. 27 points from the bench in the playoffs, I'm going to tell you right now, is really impressive. Indiana's an exception. They just very, very much award and enable a lot of that production. Generally speaking, you'll have your 7 to 8 guy rotation, and those other guys coming off the bench, maybe 1 or 2 of them, maybe 2 of them will actually produce meaningful points. Christian Brown, Holiday, Reggie Jackson, they really stepped up. And so offensively is what it is. They spearheaded that 14-2 run, basically the end of the first quarter after Jamal got his second foul, did really well. And then, of course, the start of the second quarter, that to me was probably the most impressive stretch of the game as far as Aaron Gordon is concerned. He became mini Jokic, offensive initiator coming out of the post, coming out of the perimeter. He had flashes of like Luka and Jokic where getting deep enough positioning, where knowing that he presents enough of a physical threat, getting good position by backing down his guy, by pushing the pace and getting a good mismatch, whatever, but then taking those 2 long steps to make it look like he's going to shoot. Oh, no, it's a Holiday open 3 and nobody's within like 8 feet. Okay. Also, the second half of the third quarter, when Jokic got his 4th foul, had a 16-point lead, and by the end of the quarter, they had let it fall only to 11. And looking at how the game was sort of going and reading between the lines, obviously Ant smelled blood in the water, particularly when Jokic went out of the game, but he came out firing in that second half to begin with. But essentially preserved that lead for the fourth quarter for getting Jokic back, I thought was incredible. I thought that that was going to be the time when Wolves needed to make a push, and Wolves were going to make a push. And there are some other reasons behind that by one specific individual named Jamal Murray, but I'll get to that in a moment. The other thing is stops. So not so much of an X factor for Denver, but it plays into where I think the biggest battleground of this entire series is, which is on Denver's end of the floor, where they're defending Minnesota, not the other way around. Both of these teams are very, very effective and designed in a way that makes them very effective on specific ends of the floor. Denver is an offensive machine, virtually bulletproof, and is being tested the most it ever has been because of the exact opposite, which is a very well-designed and manufactured machine defensively, right? That is going to be what it is. And I think ultimately, to be fair with you, I think that is going to just kind of be a wash. I know not necessarily not that easily, but Denver Nuggets' ability to get stops, play good defense against Minnesota. Obviously, there were some reasons and some specific guys on Minnesota's end that didn't necessarily help themselves. It's not all just Denver became an incredible lockdown defensive team, but that is the battleground for this entire series is can the Wolves make shots, generate good shots, not play too much into Denver's hands, essentially meaning go ahead and get yours, Anthony Edwards. We're just going to make sure we're getting Conley uncomfortable, make Towns uncomfortable, basically make everybody else besides Anthony Edwards beat them. That worked out really well here. And it's not as simple as just score more points so you have a better chance of winning. Malone pointed out in the postgame, when Minnesota is able to score, they are able to set their defense, right? Because you have a break or whatever, as you saw in game 3. Regardless, make or miss, I mean, they're pushing the pace all the time because of this reason. They just cannot deal with a steady diet of Jaden McDaniels full court pressing and basically working from behind the 8 ball on every possession because they are a very methodical team at heart. They need good positioning for their superstar player to, right, get close enough to the basket, right, methodically figure things out. They were 27th in the league in pace this past season for a reason. They're not by nature a fast team because it's not that dissimilar to LeBron, to Luka, whatever. Survey, James Harden, figure it out. Okay, then you're going to double. Okay, and then I'm going to do that. Okay, great. You can't really get really nice positioning and get into your sets or whatever that easily when Jaden McDaniels is not even letting Jamal Murray cross half court, right? It's tough. All right, last but not least is greatness. And to me, that is specific guys on this roster stepping up to not only make very tough shots, but to make timely shots and to make shots when maybe you are not even regularly asked to be making these kinds of shots. I think you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Aaron Gordon knocking down 2 for 2 from beyond the arc. There were a couple of just really tough turnarounds and self-initiated plays that he had to make again to start out that second quarter that were just inspiring things, man. That was just like, I hate when people say vintage XYZ, but to me, it was a glimpse into what Aaron Gordon could be playing like anywhere else. He is a problem. He just presents so much pressure in a million different ways. And playing alongside of Jokic has only made him a more dangerous Swiss Army knife when it comes to the facilitation, when it comes to, I think, just the level of cerebralness with players and understanding, right, where they're supposed to be. And that, you know, takes the form of offensive rebounding. But he just had very, very timely, very great buckets. Jamal Murray scored 12 points in the third quarter. You know who else scored 12 points in the third quarter? Anthony Edwards. And you know who wasn't on the floor for half of the third quarter? Nikola Jokic. And like I said before, that was when the Wolves needed to take back the game, and they weren't able to do it because Jamal Murray was hitting some of the most insane shots I've ever seen, as usual. This is weirdly getting just, you know, this is just to be expected. And I've been saying this so long here now is in order for Denver to take any of these games, Jamal Murray is going to have to make more and tough shots. These are insanely defensively hungry, rabid defenders that don't actually stop, right? The theory is Conley, McDaniels, Ant, whatever. We just got dudes, right? wear him down, get him frustrated, worked really well. A bunch of different ways you can kind of take that. We saw what happened in game 2, and that was obviously pretty frustrating. And for Jamal, at least, what was the adjustment? It was to just become legendary and just like not see anybody who was guarding him. And specifically, again, with no Jokic, that was the game to me. No Jokic, fourth foul. Cat almost got the last laugh a little bit with getting that foul, whatever, on Jokic and forcing him for once to get off the floor. And then what do you know? Jamal Murray is just unbelievable. And as electric again as Ant was, it washed out. It didn't even matter. Christian Braun, of course, hit that in great 3 to seal the game late in the 4th. And that was just, backbreaking. It is what it is. You also have Holiday, who apparently just can't miss really threes. The Spider-Man meme with the glasses where I take it off and put it on. I'm like, are you just Michael Porter Jr. now? Is that what we're doing? Do we, as far as a team who just takes the fewest number of threes, it's like, oh no, we actually have another dude who just is lights out from 3 that we just literally played for 4 minutes a game all year. Oh yeah, he also doesn't miss threes. Did you know that? Okay. You have the first quarter with Reggie Jackson and Aaron Gordon making pretty timely, uncharacteristic, or unexpected shots to start, that 14-2 run. Starting in Q2, you have mini Jokic, Aaron Gordon kicking things out to Holiday, which is just propelling this insane 12-2 run that they basically started the second quarter with. And then you have the third quarter with Jamal Murray just lighting on fire and going Human Torch mode. And then you have the fourth quarter where you just rely on Christian Braun to kind of seal that game with the biggest back-breaking 3 in the game. So if you can't tell, that is how good this team is. That can happen. Moving over to Minnesota quickly, we have, of course, Karl-Anthony Towns. I'm not going to spend too much time on him, but he obviously struggled going 5 for 18 from the floor, 1 of 4 from 3, just 13 points, 12 rebounds. But a couple things here. I don't want to persecute him because he did not make his first field goal until 5 minutes and 27 seconds left in the second quarter. He was 1 for 8 after making that. He recognized that he was not shooting the ball really well, and I actually noticed live his impact in other ways. So didn't get into foul trouble, really. I mean, he ended with 3 fouls, so great. But 12 rebounds, and 5 of which were offensive. There were a number of times in sequences where he was kind of dominating the glass, which I just don't think I see much. And putting pressure, as you saw with Jokic getting his 4th foul in the third quarter, that was how Cat was impacting the game. And he ended up with a +4 in the entire game, which I think is a testament to, again, his overall impact on both sides. Yes, offensively, that is tough, especially on this kind of team with that much riding on him. It is tough, man. You had Conley, the veteran for the T-Wolves, getting his 3rd foul with 7 minutes, 54 seconds left in the second quarter. That's really early to get your 3rd foul. And if Mike Conley is not on the floor, I called this out in my preview video, what does that mean for the decision-making on the floor? Not to mention the fact that the Wolves' coach is not even really coaching. He's not even on the sideline barking at them, which I have to say, side note, I actually think that kind of matters. I just kind of feel bad for them. That's kind of a weird wrinkle. So you put it all in Ant. So if Conley gets his 3rd foul or gets in foul trouble early on, that's going to be problematic because being the floor general and leader that he really is for this team, it is a big loss. And compound that with the fact that Finch isn't even coaching really on the sideline, it's a little bit tricky. So that didn't really help things. The other thing to me was Naz Reid. A lot of people are going to look at his minutes, his production, probably be like, why isn't he just playing more? Well, I will explain to you why that is. He got his 2nd foul with 6 minutes and 14 seconds left in the midst of a 12-2 run by the Denver Nuggets. That 2nd foul took place 50 feet from the rim as Jokic was bringing the ball up for seemingly no reason whatsoever. Jokic proceeded to then take it at Naz's face and chest repeatedly and absolutely obliterated Naz Reid in one-on-one to fuel Jokic's incredible 19 points and 6 rebounds in the first half, but only 4 assists, which again, if you thought about the point totals that Denver was putting up and what their scoring run was looking like, you would think, oh, Jokic is probably distributing the ball, picking them apart. That's how it works. No, Jokic let Naz Reid commit kind of the dumbest foul of the game and then proceeded to pretty much body Naz Reid out of the game. And so Naz did not even play a single minute in the fourth quarter. People are going to have feelings about that. I honestly felt like that foul may or may not have been the reason that Naz didn't even get to play in the fourth quarter. It was that ill-advised. And again, with the 8-0 run, people want to talk about that and 8 points in like 30 seconds or 20 seconds or something. That sucks. That is pretty inexcusable, and you're not really helping yourself by giving a team as much of a machine as this one. The other thing I wanted to say, there is always going to be a point where a team is forced to make a decision between, hey, are we going to try and get karl-Anthony Towns going again? Are we going to try to throw in Naz Reid and supplement Ant's scoring? It became very clear to me in the third quarter that, one, Ant was killing them. Two, karl-Anthony Towns was struggling bad. And so was Conley. There really wasn't anyone else meaningfully impacting the game on the offensive end in a rhythmic, consistent, dominance-sensing way. And you see this all the time with superstars and teams is, well, the guy just has to take the game over. Like, you just got to let him go. Like, why are we worrying? You got to just basically, like, leave and abandon anybody else, and you just, like, let that guy kill them. And honestly, most of the time, I'm pretty anti that. The more of the Wolves that I watch, the less inclined I am to think that that is actually the right way to think about it. Obviously, the question of when exactly is always going to be an insane question. But two things. One, Anthony Edwards could very well be Michael Jordan's son, and we just don't know it yet. But he is actually willing, able, and is proven again from the entire series capable of continuing to put on a ton of pressure. Give him the ball, get out of the way, and let him go. Two, offensive rebounding. You are enormous. People are like, oh my God, how are we going to involve Gobert? Is he getting played off the court? Aaron Gordon's making threes, yada, yada, yada. I get that. But listen to me. This is why I was saying Jaden McDaniels has to be shooting the ball. Kyle Anderson has to shoot the ball. And it's not even about making the shot. You just need to shoot the ball so that Gobert can wrestle with Jokic, get him out of breath, in foul trouble, annoyed, sweaty, I don't know, more scratches, but that is, in my mind, about half of the reason you acquired Rudy Gobert was to rebound. He is the second best second chance points generator in the entire NBA, or he was in the regular season. Just shoot the ball. Even if Ant is getting swallowed or you got to do something else, I just really think that getting the shots up is going to be important. Other kind of statistical outcomes I found really interesting to kind of paint the picture here. They had 7 more offensive rebounds. They had 11 more overall rebounds total. They had 9 more fast break points. And they still got obliterated, basically. Like, they were never even really within striking distance. I just really think that that is a testament to the level of shot making that Denver had, right? Like, how do you win the rebound battle? How do you win the fast break point battle? They won the possession war. It's just like, how is that possible? Oh, Denver literally shot almost 60% from the field, even though they themselves had 1 more turnover than Minnesota. They scored 9 more points from turnovers compared to Minnesota. So Minnesota wasn't able to really convert that. So taking another really quick step back here, I think it's very clear now that Denver has essentially shown their hand at certain adjustments that they are willing to make and can make. They have also revealed certain X factors that are just in play on the chessboard. And they've also proven how just great they are. I mean, this is just an incredible, very talented team that cares a lot about each other. They know each other very, very well. Again, they're champions when it comes to the pressure, when it comes to the moment. Not just Jokic and Jamal, man. They got guys who are just ready to go. Maybe the second most important guy in the Lakers series, Michael Porter Jr., had 4 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist in 35 minutes of play. He had 4 points in 35 minutes, barely a factor in this game, and Minnesota couldn't even get within striking distance. If that's not a testament to how incredible of a team Denver is, I really don't know how else to say it. They can kill you in a variety of ways, in a variety of situations, on the road against the best defenses on the planet. That was amazing. It was an amazing game to watch. It was an incredible, incredible performance. Just champion level quality of execution, ultimately. This is what we're going to do. This is what we need from you. This is what we need you to do. Every single guy, I think in Aaron Gordon's words in the postgame, I love the way he said this, every single guy who played in this game contributed to this win. Every single guy on Denver's team, I think they both went 8 deep or something. Every single guy. It was like somebody had a key moment or impact sequence that ultimately led to this incredible victory. So good for them. The chess move is now on to Minnesota, and they are definitely going to have to make some decisions here. I think with Gobert, I think that's just going to have to be an objective, if X, then Y. If Aaron Gordon hits 3 threes in body language doesn't look good, et cetera, if he's just cooking us, we're going to have to put Naz Reid in. It just kind of is, in my opinion, as simple as that. I think that's a big thing. I don't foresee the foul trouble on Conley's end, as well as I'm assuming Naz's end as well is going to be that bad. The thing about Edwards kind of taking executive control there, I think that's going to be maybe a last resort thing. I think an interesting thing for me is kind of how Luka plays, where I think he was second in the league in field goal attempts as well as points in the first quarter. If you watch Dallas play, that's like a very intentional thing that they do is Luka just commands the game and takes it by the throat in the first quarter, basically forcing the other team's hand to show him how they're going to defend him. And you'll literally just watch the first half of the first quarter. Luka is not, he's just going to come out and just start shooting and doing stuff. Like the first game of a series is a feel-out game. The first quarter is like a feel-out quarter for Luka. Might be an interesting thing for Anthony Edwards, honestly, to consider doing if they're going to keep him one-on-one, and if that is going to be open and KCP is just going to be there. That needs to be an established threat to then go on to leverage in different circumstances and to bend the defense kind of more similarly to how Aaron Gordon ultimately ended up doing. Right? That is all I have, guys. Really hope that's helpful, and I'm so excited for Game 5. All right? Until next time.